One of the greatest African nations was formed in this building. Before becoming a shack, it used to be Lord Lugards' residence. In 1914, Southern Nigeria was joined with Northern Nigeria protectorate to form the single colony of Nigeria. The unification was reportedly done for economic reasons because the northern budget was constantly running into deficit and needed the surpluses of the south to offset it. Also, in this town, there's a bank vault that many have failed to open for nearly 100 years, and rumor has it that a banker locked it from the inside during an attack. The bank itself was destroyed, but the vault has held up ever since. The name Nigeria was said to have been given by Flora Shaw, a British reporter at the time who would later become Lord Lugards' wife. In this video, we'll be checking out what's left of this former slave port, which is an important piece of Nigeria's history, and why it should be preserved for future generations because there might be nothing else left to see here in the nearest future. Hello, Lord Lugard, can you hear me? After spending a few days exploring the fun and bubbly part of Akwa Ibom, I decided to go grab a piece of history at the slave port where this great nation was formed. Ikot Abasi is about an hour away from Uyo. The journey to Ikot Abasi took little over an hour, and I teamed with a great guy who I met here in Akwa Ibom, and he has never visited Ikot Abasi before, so I took him on an adventure to explore and learn about his own city and the nation Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm not a slave.
First, we'll be checking out the amalgamation house. Lord Lugard governed the new Nigerian colony from here, and some remains of his old stuff are still in here, like the Ferguson radio, Siemens receivers, and Motorola phones. I even tried to call him, but he didn't pick. I guess his line was switched off. Hello, Lord Lugard, can you hear me? Some of the old quarters here are now used by local government officials, which is why some of the buildings haven't completely dilapidated. This one now get maintenance.
Local government staff is living there now.
The government isn't really doing much about this place, but these two women do their best to keep the place alive and welcome visitors. Is this Penny? In 1929, women of Owerri and Calabar staged a massive revolt against the British colonial policies, which were to impose special taxes on market women. The event was tagged the Aba Women's War of 1929, and this small grave was built here to honor the women who lost their lives in the battle against oppression.
Okay, this was like a warehouse.
No, it was like a house. I don't know what it was. People were living here.
After slaves have been bought and brought to the port here in Ikot Abasi, they were first stored in this warehouse where they are marked without iron rods, so the slave masters can identify their purchases.
Then the iron you see here was used to be. They will put it inside a coal. They'll put coal here and make it very hot. Then when it is really very hot, they'll bring it out. They use it to give the
slaves mark,
so that you'll be able to identify your slaves. So the chain was connected to a scale. When they used to weigh the slaves, the slaves will weigh like chicken. Some weigh mirror, some weigh gold, some weigh dry grain, and some weigh gallon of palm cup. So you can see how big the warehouse was. These buildings were not there.
After leaving the slave warehouse, the slaves were taken to the bridge of no return where they will be conveyed into the slave ships never to return again. But it gets even worse. Because they wanted to keep the slaves close to the port, they decided to build a floating storage here initially designed to hold only a few stubborn slaves. But eventually, they stored up to 150 slaves in each of these with very little room for air. This is where they will be breathing through. It was so small my friend Jimmy refused to come in. He refused to enter.
I don't want to enter. I'm not a slave.
Well, how many people did they put in?
It was meant for 30, but 150 were kept in.
It was meant for 30, but they kept 150.
Yes.
Me, I'm returning.
Yes, you are returning. I can see.
I have returned. Thank God that we are free and we are not slaves.
Seriously.
They went through a lot. There are policemen here and a police post has been set up to keep the area safe. This body of water is the Imo River, and just across it is the legendary kingdom of King Jaja of Okpobo. Slavery was a very terrible part of our history here, and it's so sad to see, the slave bunker, the slave warehouse, and all these things. Anytime I come to places like this, it always makes me feel a certain type of way. But I mean, all of that is in the past now, and big shout out to the people out here that are actually doing their best to put it all together and make sure that when people come here, you know, there's something for them to see and to learn about. So I'm glad I've been able to show you guys what is here, and I'm still going to show you a little bit more before we leave Ikot Abasi today. In this town, there used to be a bank during the colonial era that got destroyed, and the bank manager was said to have locked himself in the safe from the inside, probably during the Aba Women's riot. And he's still reportedly in there, and no one has been able to open the safe despite trying everything.
The man even tried and saying, the man was checking this, he said that this number is something, I don't know what it is.
They cast it.
Yes, you can see. It was inside the bank.
So they demolished the building, the bank building.
Yes, they demolished the building to get this. Just to get, they think they can penetrate this, you know, oh, maybe they can get this and so on. Or they try to get this to get to sell to scrap. But they cannot. You can see they tried.
They've tried to open this
They
place.
succeeded in this one, but they couldn't succeed in this. You see, then here they succeeded in this one, they couldn't succeed in this.
And even if you cut this one, there's still another one.
There's still another one. Even here, see, they dig this one to see maybe how deep it is. Can you see? This is... On my way to go check out this bank safe, I heard of the Yoruba people who live here in Ikot Abasi and work as fishermen, which I believe is what the true essence of Nigeria should be: peace and unity as a nation, living and earning a living on each other's lands, putting aside tribes or divisions at any point in time. Before leaving Ikot Abasi, I went to the riverbank where I saw a floating filling station where boat owners fuel their boats. I have never seen anything as cool as that before. On our return trip to Uyo, Jimmy, who happened to be our driver, made a stop at his village where we laughed and talked over palm wine and groundnut with some of his people. Videos like this are a wake-up call for some and a reminder to others, also to encourage brothers and sisters in diaspora to visit Africa and reconnect with their roots at least once before they die. Because through these spots, our ancestors were shipped out of the continent and lots of the history continues to get lost by the day, unless something is done. If you enjoyed this video, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment. Keep spreading positivity, and I'll see you on the next one.